Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I'm going to be filming a concealer declutter. Concealers is actually something that I do rotate through pretty quickly. I do finish them and kind of rotate through my collection pretty frequently. However, I mean as you can see there's just way too many here and I definitely need to declutter them and kind of downsize my collection a little bit. Okay, so as you can see, I have everything spread out here. I'm going to start by picking out at least some of the ones that, some of my favorites, some of the ones that I've been using a lot frequently. Right now I've been using the Milani, this is the Retouch and Erase Light Lifting Concealer, and a lot of people have said that it's a dupe for the Tarte Shape Tape. I don't know how comfortable I am saying that, but I really do like this concealer, so I'm definitely going to hold on to it. Moving on, a recent purchase of mine is the Covergirl Outlast All Day Concealer. This has been out for a while. I have it in the shade Fair, and right now I've only used the Covergirl one a couple times, and so far I really do like it. I like the Milani one more, but I really like it, and I'm definitely going to hold on to it. Another one I've been using a lot lately is the Urban Decay Naked Skin. I have mine in the shade Fair Neutral, and I have a couple of them. One of them is just about done, so I'm going to get rid of one and then hold on to the other one. It's lightweight and it's got really good coverage. Another one that I'm obsessed with is the Tarte Shape Tape. I have mine in the shade Fair. It's the lightest shade they offer. I really love this concealer. It's full coverage, very full coverage, but I don't have to set it if I don't want to. Like if I'm in a hurry and I don't have to set my under eyes, so I really like that. It's light enough. I don't have to correct with anything, and it really will correct dark circles, so I really like it. So I'm definitely going to hold on to this for sure. One that I'm just recently trying out is the Wet n Wild, what is this? This is the Photo Focus Concealer. I have mine in the shade Light Ivory, and I believe this is the lightest shade they offer, but I would prefer them to come out with a lighter shade, or I hope they come up with a lighter shade, but I really like this concealer so far. I would say it's a medium coverage. I do have to set it with a powder, otherwise it will crease on me, but most concealers will, so it's nothing to gripe about. But yeah, I'm definitely going to hold on to this. Okay, another favorite is the MAC Prolongwear Concealer. Before the Tarte Shape Tape, and actually before even I discovered the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer, I was using this. This was Holy Grail. Right now it's a little bit heavy duty if I'm, like I have naturally very dry skin, and if I'm having a bad skin day, then I won't reach for this concealer, but on days where my skin is okay, I definitely reach for it a lot. It's a great concealer. I have mine in the shade NC15. Another favorite is the Benefit Erase Paste, and I have mine in the shade Number 1 Fair. This is Holy Grail. I use this every single day, but it's almost finished up. So, I mean, as you can see, it's just about done. So I'm going to, yeah, there's probably only a couple of uses left. So I'm going to use this up and then get rid of it. I will definitely repurchase that without a doubt. Okay, let's just start going through these individually now. Starting with the Hard Candy Glamoflauge Concealer, I have mine in the shade Light. I like this concealer. It is just very thick. I do use it, just not as much as I wish I would. I do like Hard Candy as a brand overall, but I'm just going to hold on to this just for the sake of I do still use it, and as long as I'm using it, I'm going to hold on to it. Okay, the next one here is the Wet n Wild Come Correct Concealer. I have mine in the shade Fair. And I really like this actually as a drugstore corrector. I put this under a concealer that I'm using to brighten, and I really like it for that. If I'm using just a tiny amount, it works really well. I heard that this is a dupe for the, I believe it's the It Cosmetics concealer. I can't remember the exact name off the top of my head, I apologize. But I will hold on to this just because I do use it. Moving on, I've got the Maybelline Master Conceal. This is again in the shade Fair, and this is really yellow tone, but I like it. It's probably the most yellow tone concealer I have, but I love it. I use it very frequently to brighten, and I would never get rid of this. Okay, the next one here is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Concealer. I have mine in the shade Y21. And I just want to say that if any of you have really fair skin like myself, this is the lightest concealer I have found. It is amazing. The finish is just beautiful, and I highly recommend this if you have fair skin. Okay, the next one here is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. This is the Dark Circle Eraser. I have mine in the shade Brightening, and this is probably the third one that I went through. I really like this concealer. It's one of my favorites for the fact that I can correct dark circles and brighten at the same time with this particular shade. This shade matches me perfectly and it brightens. It just gives a beautiful finish. I'm definitely holding on to this. Okay, let's kind of rearrange here. This is the Covergirl, I believe it's the Invisible Cover Concealer. I have mine in the shade Fair, and this is a okay concealer. I haven't really tried a lot of Covergirl's face products besides for foundations, but this just isn't my favorite, so I'm going to pass this along just for the sake of not using it, and I've only used it maybe once or twice. I would hope there's someone out there that would get more use out of it than I am, so I'm going to pass this one along. Okay, I have two of the NYX, what are these? The HD concealers. I love these. This one I have in the shade Fair, and I love it. Definitely holding on to that. And then this is a recent purchase. This is in the shade, it's their purple one, and I'm trying to find the exact shade name here. It's just lavender. And I really like this for the sake of just brightening alone. Sometimes I'll even combine the two of these and use them together. And I really like it, especially for the days where I'm not, really wearing makeup or it's like my no makeup days where I'm just wearing mascara, brows, and concealer. I really like to combine these two under the eyes. So I'm definitely holding on to these. Moving on, I've got the CoverGirl Ready Set Gorgeous Concealer. This is in the shade Light. And this is an okay concealer. I mean, I like it. It provides a good kind of medium coverage. It's like almost a satin finish. But I just don't use it very often, so I'm going to pass this along. I used it maybe twice, maybe 3 times tops, so I'm going to pass this along to someone that will use it more than I will. Okay, moving on, I've got the Maybelline Superstay Better Skin Concealer. This is in the shade Ivory, and I really like this stuff. I use this just on an everyday basis. It's a beautiful finish, it's got a great medium coverage, and I'm definitely going to hold on to it. Next up, I've got the e.l.f. HD Lifting Concealer. It doesn't say on here, but I know for a fact that this is in the shade Fair. And it's just too dark. For my really fair skin, it's just too dark. And I can use it kind of to spot conceal, but I don't use liquid concealers to spot conceal hardly ever. So I'm just going to pass this along while it's still fairly new. Okay, next up I've got a couple Maybelline concealers here. I've got one in the shade green, and then this one is white. I use the green one, not too much, but it's the only green concealer I have, and I like it on days where my skin is just either pretty red, irritated, or even to spot conceal sometimes. If I've got like a blemish and the redness is peeking through, I use this, and it doesn't cling to any dry patches on me, which I thought it would being a stick concealer. So yeah, I'm definitely going to hold on to it because it's a great one. And then this is a concealer, and it's just plain white, and I didn't think I would like it because, again, it's in the stick concealer. I thought maybe like to brighten on the nose and the chin and kind of in that T-zone area, but I didn't think I would like it underneath the eyes. And don't get me wrong, I don't put this directly underneath the eyes because that would just be a creasing disaster. But kind of just where like you would highlight, I put that just kind of on the cheekbones, and it's beautiful. So I'm definitely holding on to this. Okay, moving on, I've got the Rimmel Matte Perfection Concealer. This is in the shade 125 Fair, and I've probably used this under 5 times. It's a great concealer. I just have others I prefer over this. It's a great shade. Finish is beautiful. The coverage is, I would say, light to medium. But yeah, I'm just going to pass this on to someone that's going to use it more than I am. Next up, I've got the LA Girl Pro Conceal. This is in the shade Classic Ivory. And I love LA Girl. They're a great brand. I just don't care for this in the sense of it's not light enough for me. If it was a lighter shade, I would use it all the time just because I like the formula. But I'm going to try it just in the sense of correcting because, as you can see, it is very peach toned. So I'm going to try it as like a corrector underneath another concealer and see how I like it. That's why I love kind of going through and decluttering, because you can find stuff that you wouldn't normally use, and it just kind of encourages me to use stuff that I wouldn't normally otherwise use. Alright, this is the Maybelline Dream Lumi Concealer, and again, this is another concealer that I've probably repurchased 2 or 3, maybe even 4 times on this one. I have mine in the shade Radiant, and I really like this in the sense that I can brighten and I can conceal my dark circles at the same time. This is almost just about done, so I am going to just toss it, but if this was full, I would definitely be keeping it. Alright, another concealer I use to brighten this, or not even a concealer, it's just a brightening pen. This is the MAC Prep and Prime Highlighter in the shade Light Boost. And it's very yellow toned. I do like it in the sense that I can really get in there and brighten underneath the eyes. It's just beautiful. So I'm going to hold on to this because I do use it pretty often. Alright, another highlighting tool here is the Estee Lauder Double Wear. This is in the shade 1C Light Cool. And I had the opportunity to have Derek, I'm forgetting his last name. If I can remember, I'll put it down in the description. But I had the opportunity, he's a Estee Lauder global makeup artist, and he did my makeup at a Boston store. He came to a local Boston store near me, and my mom and I spent the day together, and we went and he did my makeup, and it was just such an incredible experience. And this is something he recommended, and this is probably the third or fourth one I've purchased since I met him and he did my makeup a few years ago. So I am definitely holding on to this, and just because this is a recent one I picked up. And I could never get rid of this stuff. It's amazing. Okay, this is the Garnier Skin Renew Anti-Dark Circle Roller. And this is a great formula. It's just too dark on my skin tone. And I believe this is the lightest shade they offer. So I'm just going to pass this along just because I'm not using it. Okay, moving on. I've got a concealer palette here. This we got in our BoxyCharm this last month, so I'm definitely going to hold on to it just because I've really only gotten the chance to use it once or twice, and I'm just going to hold on to it and give it a chance. Okay, finally, the last of it is just like pot concealers here. The Bobbi Brown, this is a corrector. I'm going to get rid of this just because it's in the shade Porcelain Bisque. And I just recently went through, if my empties is up, I'll link it in the description. I went through the shade Light Bisque, and that was a much better corrector on my skin tone. But yeah, I'm going to pass this along. This is in Porcelain Bisque, and it just doesn't do any correcting because it wasn't peach enough on me. So I'm going to pass that. Something that does work great to correct, this is the Pixie, what is it? The Brightening Peach Corrector. And I love this stuff. At first, I really didn't care for it very much just because I thought it was kind of too drying on my under eyes. But after using it and experimenting with it a little bit more, it's definitely not the Benefit Erase Paste, but for a drugstore alternative, it works out great. So I'm going to hold on to that. That way I have a high-end and a drugstore corrector as well. Okay, a concealer I use to spot conceal. This is the Estee Lauder concealer in the shade 1C, or it's a double wear concealer in the shade 1C Light Cool. And I really like this stuff just in the sense that it works great if I've got a blemish or anything of that matter that I want to kind of conceal on my face. I use this and it just blends in with my natural skin tone beautifully. So I would never get rid of this. Alright, last but not least, I've got a couple Coastal Scents concealers, and I apologize, I don't know the exact shade names just because I bought them online on Coastal Scents probably a year ago, and I just purchased them online. I guessed my shades, and I picked up two, but they're just way too drying. I don't use them just because they are way too drying on my skin, so I'm just going to toss them both just because I did hit pan on both of them, and they've just got to go. I'm not using them, and they're just taking up space. So, we'll pass those along. Alright, so that's everything. So everything on the left side I am keeping, and then I'm getting rid of all of this stuff on the right. So I feel like I did a really great job. Concealers is definitely one of my all-time favorite makeup products, and I didn't expect to get rid of too many, but I do tend to go through them pretty frequently and rotate through them. So I'm actually really pleased with this declutter. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!